What would my number one tip be for beginner day traders? Well, that's what I want to talk about and show you in this video, along with the practical side of things of how to actually do what I talk about. Now, there's nothing fancy here. There's nothing complicated, which is good news because I don't want you to think that this tip involves a vast amount of knowledge or a vast amount of experience. No, all it really requires is some common sense, so much so that after I go through it, I'm probably going to be insulting your intelligence and saying, why do you keep stating the obvious? But as obvious as it is, there's many new traders that are just getting started and they miss these sort of things, including myself. So I speak from both experience and also from being around a lot of beginner traders. I mean, I've been on my channel's been around since 2013. So I say that just because I have a lot of data points in this regard, and sometimes things just hide in plain sight. So what we have here on the screen, I just want to represent, you can call it whatever kind of pyramid, whatever kind of triangle you want. The trader triangle for success, whatever cool name you can think of. So I'll leave that up to you. In fact, down in the comment section, what would you call this triangle, this pyramid? What kind of cool names can we get? But whatever you want to call it, the bottom line is that, no pun intended, at the bottom of this pyramid, this triangle, this is what I'm talking about here. This is the tip that I would give you because everything in trading needs to be built on this one area. And this area happens to be not a behavior. Maybe some of you are thinking, I bet you're going to talk about you got to manage risk, which is true. Managing risk is definitely near the bottom of this pyramid. But what I'm about to talk about, the indicator, is more important than risk management because if you don't get this indicator right, even something as important as managing risk still becomes very, very difficult to do. I won't say impossible, but it'll become very efficient. So yes, risk management matters for sure, but this indicator matters that much more because if you don't have it, then even the risk management is going to become very difficult to do. But what at the core this indicator is based around is, do people care? Are people interested? Interested in what? Well, interested in whatever you are day trading. So let me be very clear. This is for day traders. If you're a swing trader and if you're an investor, then this indicator is not going to be as important to you. But if you are day trading, you want to make sure that other people care about what you're trading. You want to make sure that there's interest in what you are trading. Why does that matter? Well, the more people that care about, the more people that are watching, the more people that are trading, whatever you are, there's going to be a couple big things that come from it. And I'm trying to avoid using the word that I'm going to use as the indicator. Maybe you already know. But with this comes something known as self-fulfilling prophecies. And all that is if enough people are watching the same thing, wondering the same thing, then while that doesn't guarantee that the quote-unquote thing will happen, there is a high likelihood that it has a good chance of. And that's what day trading is. It's managing probabilities. It's managing odds. At the core, it's what's most likely to happen. That's what our job as day traders is figuring out what is most likely to happen. And a big part of that is figuring out, okay, well, where are some of these self-fulfilling prophecy areas of the market, which is important. But self-fulfilling prophecies become much, much, much less reliable if people really don't care about whatever you're trading. If not that many people are watching what you're trading. So just basic logic there. The more people that are watching, that are caring, that are trading, whatever you are trading. So I'm talking about stocks, Bitcoin, any sort of cryptocurrency, Forex, futures, anything, baseball cards. But whatever you are trading, the more people that are interested in it, the more likely self-fulfilling prophecies are to happen. And the more likely those are to happen, the higher odds, the higher edge you can give yourself as a day trader, which is very, very important. So what is the actual part? What is this indicator that I keep talking about? Some of you have already probably put it together, but it is this. In the world of trading, it is known as volume. Volume is just a fancy way of saying interest, care. How many people are watching? How many people are taking action? And when you have a lot of volume, then it goes down that logic chain we just talked about. So in other words, the more volume you have, the more self-fulfilling prophecies have a chance of happening. And the more self-fulfilling prophecies that have a chance of happening mean that you can formulate trade plans that give you an edge in the market. I want to really reiterate, I'm not saying a guarantee in the market because those don't exist, but they can give you an edge. But you need good, solid volume. And that is why everything is built upon volume, because you can try to manage risk, but if there's not a whole lot of volume out there, I'm not going to go down those rabbit holes, but from between the bid and the ask, there can be big spreads, and it can turn out to be a disaster. Again, those are a little bit more complicated issues. Like I said, this is a beginner video, and this is why it would be the number one tip is volume, because everything needs to be built upon it. Now, what about, okay, Clay, that's great. I'm a beginner. Thank you. Volume, that makes sense to me. You want to make sure that there's lots of other people interested in it and watching it so you can get those ideal self-fulfilling prophecies. But okay, well, where do you find volume? How can you organize volume? Like, how do I know what it actually is? How do I know if a stock or whatever has, volume that would, put me in a situation that you're referring to, which is a great question, and why I want to go to the practical application of it. So how can you find good volume situations? I will be using stocks just because that's mainly what I trade. But like I said, this general principle should be and can be applied to any asset class that you're trading. Now, again, I'm not trying to insult your intelligence. I just don't know how much of a beginner you are. I mean, who knows? Maybe you just got started in day trading yesterday. But what we're looking at here is known as an online platform and an online broker. And lots of online brokers have platforms that come with them. So what we're looking at here is one of those, and I'll talk about it at the end if you kind of like what you see here. But I want to be very clear. What you see here is not the only online platform that exists. It's just one that I'm always recommending to beginner day traders, because I think that it offers a great starting point for somebody that's a beginner, for somebody that's, I'm assuming, is more so on a budget, and you're not showing up to the market with hundreds of thousands of dollars. But what we're looking at, again, is an online platform, and more specifically, we're looking at a screener. Now, there's a couple of terms here that could be used, screener, or maybe you see something known as a scanner. But screener, scanner, for all intents and purposes, are basically the same thing. They are screening, they are searching, they are scanning for different asset classes. In this case, again, I'm going to use stocks, but they're looking for certain stocks based on what you tell them to look for. And in this situation, guess what we're concerned about? Yes, volume. Now, one other thing that you always want to keep in mind is, all right, well, what sort of price ranges are you wanting to trade? Going back to I'm assuming you're more so on a budget. Now, if you're showing up with hundreds of thousands of dollars, then price isn't going to really matter. But if you are showing up with more of a budget, then price is going to matter. Now, it's not the most important indicator, right, for the reasons we've discussed, but it is an important indicator. So, for example, any sort of scanner, if it's decent, is going to give you multiple choices. So here, the way this one works is you're just going to click on filters, and then let's go over here to price, because we're going to care about price, and you can see that pops up right here. So let's just say that you're looking to trade stocks between, and I'm just totally making this up, $5 to $25, and there you go. So now everything has been organized. But notice here we have, and it can seem overwhelming, but there are just all sorts of columns, right? You have a symbol, you have, so on and so forth. The only column that matters, and the first thing you should always do, is you want to find the volume column. And the first thing that you're going to want to do is always click on it so you get organized and let's try that again. There we go. So you want to click on it, and maybe it's by default, but you just want to make sure that at the top, the very top of the volume column is the highest volume stocks, which as of the recording of this video happens to be Snapchat, followed by Ford, NIO, so on and so forth. But just realize this, that as you work your way down, the less and less volume you have, which means the less and less interest, less and less people that are watching that. Now that's, so where does it become not okay? Well, that's where I like, and I'm again not saying that this platform is the only one that offers it, but you have a good, right here, average 3-month volume, right? So it's telling you, okay, over the average of 3 months, what is the volume here? And you can see a good comparison. So very clearly today, if Snap averages 22.5 million and it's at 146 million, okay, something really crazy. There must be a whole lot of people watching, caring about, and that's what we want, right? About Snapchat. Looking here, 53, okay, 55. So that tells you, all right, now again, I'm not saying this is dictating whether or not you should trade it because it's got to be above average. I'm just saying you want to make sure that you're talking about stocks with a whole lot of volume. Whereas if you go, and let me just switch this around. So right here, you just saw stocks that were trading millions upon millions of shares. Look at this, volume, 1. I mean, look at how crazy it can actually get, right? I mean, look at how low some stocks out there, some asset classes just barely have any sort of volume. And that's why you want to make sure that you always come up and click that column where it brings up the highest volume to the top of, do it again. There we go, to the top. That way you just know, and it'll become habit very quickly that, okay, as you scroll down, you just know that volume is becoming less and less and less. And, you know, how low is too low? Well, that's going to depend on how quickly you're looking at day trade. But, you know, as just a standard rule of thumb, I'd be looking for at least 1 million shares. At least. Now, that still may be too low, but like I said, I don't want to get this too complicated. But think about what you'd be doing. At least you're focused on volume. Okay, I need to be careful. Is 1 million okay for my strategy? And you're going to have to figure that out because all strategies are a little different. But the key driver here is at least you're focused on what matters, and that is volume. But that's how you're going to do volume in a very simplistic way. Just make sure that you're, step one, just have a volume column. That would be step one. Step two, make sure that you organize it where the highest volume is at the top, and then you can work down from there. But you do those two things. And yes, of course, there's a lot more that goes into trading. But as far as that triangle goes, the volume needs to be at the bottom of it. And that ensures that you're at least keeping what matters most, in an area that you want it to be, because you're going to be finding those highest volume stocks. Now, of course, a scanner or screener, they're going to have all sorts of things. So, for example, I just said, 1 million. So you could go in there and say, okay, don't show me any stock that has less than 1 million, less than whatever amount you come across. That's outside of the scope of this. But just realize that as you get more and more advanced in your day trading, you're going to have, these scanners and screeners offer up a lot of different choices. But again, to bring it back home, at the core, at the base of that pyramid, you got to be focused on volume. So that is definitely the number one tip I would say to anybody is make sure you're trading stocks or cryptos that have interest, that have other people that care about them, which again, now know to just say is make sure it has volume. And make sure it has a good amount of volume so that you can operate and you can have more of a smooth trading experience. And how do you get that smooth trading experience? By giving yourself an edge. How do you get that edge? By trying to locate those areas that have self-fulfilling prophecies. How do you get likely self-fulfilling prophecies? By having a bunch of people that are interested in it. So hopefully this helps. If you have any questions or anything like that, definitely leave those down below. As far as this platform is concerned, though, because I think that might be a question, this is Webull, and they are a broker that I would, like I said, recommend. In fact, I'll put a link down below if you want to learn more about them or get signed up. And they're always offering promotions, giving away free stock and stuff like that. For transparency's sake, that is an affiliate link. So if you click on it and get signed up, then I will also get something. So just keep that in mind. But like I said, there are other brokers out there, so I'm not trying to make it seem like this is the only choice out there. But if you're a beginner, and you're just getting started, you don't have a massive budget, then this is, a good broker to start with because there's $0 commissions. And, you kind of got to see, their scanner is very nice. It's got some nice little features there. But I know that would be a question that would pop up. So I'm just going to answer that one right now. So like I said, if you're interested, if you want to learn more about it, then definitely click that link below because that will get you some free stocks if you ultimately choose to sign up with them. But if you have any other ideas for videos like this, for more of the beginner angle, then by all means, please let me know. I'm always reading comments, replying to them. So your feedback is greatly appreciated. So remember, volume is king. Volume matters most. And as long as you're focused on that, then you're going to be putting yourself on a pathway that's going to give yourself the best chance at making money in the market. So everybody take care, and hopefully this helps. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only one losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.